tarde, pessoal. Primeiro, eu queria agradecer a presença de vocês. A gente hoje tem 3 convidados aqui para conversar com a gente. O Bas, da empresa CORROSION, tem o Alan, da empresa DESMI, e tem o Rune, da empresa Metizoft. Queria pedir uma salva de palmas para eles, porque vieram de bem longe para estarem aqui com a gente. We start?
Yeah, sure. So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bas Wessels. I'm, like Alice already mentioned, from the company CORROSION. And CORROSION is a company based in the Netherlands which specializes in anti-fouling solutions and anti-corrosion solutions for the maritime market, but also for the offshore and the oil and gas. And the next video I would like to show you is our answer to a growing problem in the maritime sector. So I hope I'm pressing the correct. Yes.
To meet the global demand for more sustainable solutions in the maritime sector, CORROSION's UVC cooling systems offer an environmentally friendly solution for the effective cooling of engines. Without the right form of protection, these coolers soon become overgrown by marine growth, which reduces the cooling capacity of vessels' engines. The UVC coolers combine the benefits of pillow plate coolers with the power of UVC lights to prevent fouling, enabling engines to function at optimum levels. CORROSION's UVC lighting is based on Philips' patented IP technology. It contains energy that damages the cell structure of marine growth at the earliest stages. It only affects water flowing through the sea chest, not damaging other organisms or leaving waste behind. The UVC cooler can be used for both retrofit and new building, as the cooler is custom designed to meet any specification. UVC lights protect the pillow plate coolers even during idle and layup time. A further key benefit of UVC coolers is that the maintenance replacement process is low. UVC lights can be replaced within just 20 minutes or less from the inside of the vessel, without even dry docking. UVC, the sustainable anti-fouling solution of the future. Visit corrosion.nl to discover more applications of UVC coolers. CORROSION, steel going strong.
So, at this moment in time, practically every vessel uses a copper-based system to prevent marine fouling, be it coating on the hull of the vessel or copper anodes underneath your cooler or in your strainers. And that's a growing problem for a couple of reasons, because first of the problems is the sustainability, of course, because you can imagine there are quite a lot of vessels operating in the sea, and they all have some kind of copper-based anti-fouling system on board of their vessel. So there are tons and tons and tons of copper being released into the seawater every year, which has a negative impact, of course, on the sea life, but it also is just a waste of the copper, because we can do so many other things with copper, especially in these days with all the electric vehicles coming up, and the copper that you release in the sea is lost forever. So that's a big problem. Another one is because of all these electric solutions coming up, the copper price is increasing by quite a lot, and the foreseeable future will be that in about 5 or 10 years it will be even doubled of what it is now, which makes it quite pricey for most people. And so the copper-based systems has been actually our main product for the last 30 years. So CORROSION delivers these copper anodes to have some anti-fouling solution for your vessel. And we've done this for about 30 years, and being 30 years old means that you are also moving from these old technologies into these new technologies, and I think you can either stay where you are and try to hold on as long as you can, or be innovative and move up into the future with new solutions. So we went looking for solutions. It was pretty hard until we came in contact with Philips, and Philips is a company also from the Netherlands, so that was nice for us. It was close by, and Philips is pretty far in the market when it comes to UVC, and Philips already knew that UVC will prohibit any organism from living near the UVC light. in putting this into the seawater already had a good effect on just services, but they never done it with coolers. So together with Philips, we made this new UVC cooler, which we just saw, which uses no chemicals because the whole copper anode is gone, and the UVC is just light. It's a bit above visible light and will leave no harm to other sea life. And underneath the water is only for 30 centimeters effective, so it doesn't harm any other sea life. And it reduces the impact on the environment because all this copper is not released into the seawater. And most of the times when you have to go for a greener solution, you have to do it less. But I think we improved on almost every base for these coolers. And now it's time for us to get it into the market and for the people to know about this and know that there's a solution to this growing problem of copper-based anti-fouling systems that we will all face in the near future. So thank you all, and I'll move on to the next one.
I work for DESMI. We're a 190-year-old Danish company. We're primarily focusing on pumping solutions, on flow solutions. We also are very strong in the market with ballast water treatment systems, as well as what I'm going to present a little bit today, which is our energy savings system, the OptiSave.
Let's take a little trip with two identical vessels, one with no system and one with DESMI OptiSave. The trip starts in Shanghai, and already here we notice a significant difference since the pump with DESMI OptiSave runs with only 56% pump speed, thus saving from 90 kilowatts to 22 kilowatts. When reaching Singapore, the seawater temperature has increased to 28 degrees. At this location, the pump speed of the OptiSave system will be 80%, saving from 90 kilowatts to 46 kilowatts. When reaching the Mediterranean, the seawater temperature has dropped to 20 degrees. When arriving in Denmark, the accumulated savings achieved by the DESMI OptiSave system is 52,000 kilowatt hours, corresponding to 75% savings. Let's make a calculation of your savings with DESMI OptiSave on your trip. We have saved 52,000 kilowatt hours, and on board the vessel it costs 0.2 kilogram of fuel to produce 1 kilowatt hour. The fuel savings will thereby accumulate to 10.3 tons of fuel. With today's bunker price of $590 per ton fuel, the savings for this trip from Shanghai to Denmark will reach $6,130 for a 4-week trip. Based on actual data logging the proven savings of the DESMI OptiSave system, will reach an annual savings of an amazing $80,000.
So we've been in the market with our OptiSave system actually since 2010. We discovered that there was a need, and everybody was going into green technologies, and we took a look at the OpEx side of the business with the system, and obviously since the release we have over 600 systems right now already installed on vessels worldwide. We actually have a company here in Brazil as well using this system. And as the video mentioned, our annual savings just on that scenario there is about $8,000 USD. The system basically, the comparison we did was versus a vessel without the OptiSave. We drastically reduce the energy consumption of the vessel. Our OptiSave system is working continuously. It's not something that switches on and off as needed. Okay, that's why you can see as we were going through certain steps through that voyage on the video, you can see based on the water temperatures how it was fluctuating. The other thing that we do is we continuously monitor the operating conditions and we make the adjustments. Our system adjusts the pumps and the fan speeds based on the conditions. And we consider or the system considers several factors, and that's fresh water, the seawater outlet, the electrical motors, temperatures, the pump discharge pressure, and the main engines. We also did a couple of case studies here on bulk carriers and on the chemical tankers. And on both the bulk carriers and the chemical tankers, we worked off 3 main seawater pumps, and we got to those numbers. We discovered we reached an annual fuel consumption of 57 tons, CO2 emissions reductions of 459 tons, and then that equated on the bulk carriers to an annual saving of $74,000 US. On the chemical tankers, we were around about 52 tons in fuel savings annually, CO2 emissions reduction of 53 tons, and an annual savings of $85,000. And I just wanted to add one more thing. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that this system focuses primarily on the OPEX side of the business, and not only do we reduce the OPEX, but also we extend the lifetime of the pumps, because we're adjusting the speed of the motors.
Thank you, Alan. In Brazil, we have a lot of the offshore market is very cyclic. As you know, in the audience, we had a boom and then downturn and boom and downturn. So the switch of generations is very marked in the industry. So we have like old, mid, and junior, not like a continuous workforce. So it's very interesting, the Brazilian case for this.
I think with us, with the OpSafe product, the short answer is budget and knowledge. But I want to just elaborate a little bit more on that, and that is we've preached green technologies for quite a number of years now, and in some cases it's been well received because it's been forced on people, on our customers, like ballast water treatment systems, scrubbers, and this is a technology that's not required. I mean, we're showing a reduction in OPEX costs, reduction in CO2 emissions, but it's not required. So what we see is a lot of the market, or a lot of the smaller companies are watching to see what the big guys, the leaders of the industry are doing before they make a move. And the other thing is the upfront cost. You know, it's something they don't need, so why should they invest in it until they get forced to invest in this? And so manufacturers like us, like DESMI, we have to be creative in terms, conditions, and how we can sell it to the customer. You know, I mentioned earlier, we have a company, a customer here in Brazil, and they're saving about $24,000 a month. So that's a substantial amount of money. But the upfront cost isn't, you know, that there is an upfront cost. So we try and be creative from our end to offset that.
Rune, you have a global actuation for a long time. You know a lot about government regulations. So how do you see the government and all regulation organizations pulling this change?
I think for sure that the government has a vital part when you're implementing new requirements. But what we have seen, and I still see, is that it's a conservative business, but the first mover is also normally company which have been there for a long time. They have been into this swells before. They have been ups and downs, and they know that they need to invest. And in the end, they will also be the first mover. And most of our clients, they were well ahead of the deadline. That is telling you something about that they see why the regulation is coming. They adopt it. And at the same time, when you compare that they have been the first mover, you can see that the best bottom line in the business are in many cases the first movers, because they are adopting a lot of new things which will give them an advantage all the time compared to the rest of the business. So I think that, yes, conservative, we say that when we need to have an answer and we're failing. But in reality, I think that the biggest company globally is the first movers, and they are ahead of the government in many cases because they see it's coming, and their users and end users like me and you, we also have some expectations for these companies, so that they feel it already before they need to feel it. So I think that's what my reply would be on this.
Super. Thank you. Would you like to go with your presentation?
Yes.
Yes, Rune here, representing Metizoft, a company which was established in Norway in 2006. We have been doing business in Brazil since 2009. This month we are actually establishing our own entity, just actually to compete with local and also can make more jobs locally here in Brazil and also cover the local content demand. So I will just go through a short presentation about IHM. IHM is probably a hot topic. Will be, just due to that you have a lot of old installations which are going for decommissioning the next 10 to 15 years.
Most ships today are recycled through the beaching method, which is damaging to human health and the environment. The EU Ship Recycling Regulation aims to make ship recycling safer through the creation of inventory of hazardous materials. It affects 30,000 existing vessels and new builds with an EU flag. Ships with a third flag calling EU ports are also affected. It also affects suppliers and subcontractors who need to deliver IHM certified documentation. Existing vessels must have an IHM on board by the end of 2020. Metizoft have more than 10 years of experience in the creation and maintenance of IHM for new and existing ships. Metizoft have locations and partners spread out in strategic areas and can assist all over the globe. Once your vessel has an IHM, the regulation requires a system and a designated person that will keep the IHM up to date throughout the ship's lifecycle. Metizoft gives you both, and we use our in-house software to maintain your IHM. We are an approved IHM service provider by DNVGL, ABS, Lloyd's Register, BV, Class NK, and KR.
Yes, it was not a new video. I think you can say that this was something which came out in European Union 5 years ago, but you can still use it in Brazil because you are going into the same swell now. You're going to meet the same wave, and you will have to do something. But back to the question you were asked earlier about. This is why first mover is looking into IHM. Why are they in compliance 5 years before they need? Because IHM is not only sole purpose of decommissioning. You can use it for many purposes. And for our main clients, this is insurance. This is an insurance to cover a lot of sustainability issues. You are covering, of course, your employees. And I think that what we're going to see in Brazil the coming years is that when you start decommissioning old facility or asset offshore, you're going to find out and see that it contains a lot of hazardous materials which people have been working together with for 20, 30 years. We see it in the North Sea, we have seen it, There have been a lot of cases, people have been sick, and I think that's why this is more about actually insurance. The background for IHM was actually that you should use it for decommissioning. But what we see now is that if they can use it as insurance, that gives you a much better working environment for the people you are employed. And the time when you're sending it to decommissioning, you will meet local communities where you're sending your asset and what it contains. Most likely it contains something you don't want in your neighborhood. But if you know what's coming, then you can prepare. What we see now is there's a lot of cases where we don't know what's going to be beached near you and decommissioned. So that's why I think IHM is here. And what we also see in that clients, they are using this as a tool to calculate sustainability issues. This is an interesting slide for ship owners which have high focus on sustainability. This is the main KPI we are working after in Metizoft. We are maintaining over 4,000 ships where we are a designated person. That will say that we are reliable for the whole IHM process for our main clients. We will have to collect all data, we will need to handle their asbestos, for example, and they are actually measuring us on this KPI. This is their insurance KPI. If we have zero incident compliance issue, then they are safe. And I think that's the main trigger, because this is insurance which are costing them an ordinary oil and gas service ship $7 to $10 per day, and that is not a big impact on the OPEX, but it have a huge impact on the insurance side. Because one incident here costing you a lot more than $7 to $10. So that's why IHM is something coming, and I think that's why if you are sitting with the responsibility of IHM in your company, why not do it now? It's cheaper, you will have some benefits of it, and I think that's the main trigger for why First Mover is doing it, not for about decommissioning. So, coming soon to the end here. There's 2 slides here, and I think it's an interesting side to see here, because what's important for me is when we are coming to Brazil is that you are doing some small recycling in Brazil, and sometimes also sinking the ships you don't can handle in shore air like Sao Paulo, but you have the possibility now to learn from countries which have been doing recycling for 15, 20 years, and they are doing good business. So instead of trying to choose cheap solutions, try to find a solution which can actually bring you to the clean picture here. Because this picture, they are taken at the same date. So that's interesting to see how big difference on decommissioning you can find. One of the pictures here, failing in Bangladesh, and you have a clean one. That's in one of the European facilities. So I think that's the most interesting, that you have a possibility to do right much faster than we did in Europe and in Asia, if you take the right steps now. I think that's what all.
Thanks, Rune. I also have a question for you, because the decommissioning, it's a topic growing over and over in Brazil. Every time, every new lecture, every new exhibition, we talk more about decommissioning. And we know that worldwide, some countries have different experience in decommissioning, some really bad experience in decommissioning, but now when this market is starting in Brazil, we can here take the advantage to have all technologies already developed available. For example, the inventory and hazardous materials. So, also as a Brazilian, I would like to hear from you, how do you feel that the inventory of hazardous materials could help and could support the decommissioning industry and the decommissioning market that is about to take place, growing in Brazil?
Yes, I think it's a very interesting question, and I think, as I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago here, that if you can learn now, you can have a great advantage. And we have clients which have been working on the Brazilian continental shelf for 15 years with IHM. We did IHM in Brazil on new buildings in 2010. So we have a lot of good examples with, for example, DOF, which have been doing IHM since the ship was new, and it was done here. Some of the ships we did here in Brazil, they have been scrapped or recycled in Europe. We took it from Brazil, brought it to Turkey, and recycled in a clean way. So I think that if you start now, because this is not about just decommissioning, take it up on the beach or take it alongside and start decommissioning. You need to have a downstream which can handle the waste. Everybody in Brazil wants to steal. I know that's pure basic. But what do the rest of the components and system on boards? Many of the system are 40 years. How to handle them? In India, you can recycle a ship up to 95%. I don't believe that you are able to do that in Brazil because you don't have a second-hand or third-hand market to buy this component and actually handle them. So maybe 10 to 15% of the ship is going straight to waste. So is that a long-term sustainability vision? I don't think it is, but that's why we need to build this industry. And I think we can learn a lot from the mistakes we have been doing in Europe and also in the Far East.
Do you have any case that you would like to share? If you can.
I think I want to be very safe and not bring up actually any direct. You have everybody knows about Sao Paulo. That is not good. Of course, military can sink a ship if they are not happy with it, and they can use it as a target. And I understand that, but in the long term, and I'm thinking about my children. If we want to sink everything we don't like or can handle, is that the way we want to give over to next generation? I think that's the question I'm going to bed with. I have to think about my children, and you have to think about yours. Is this the way we want to handle the globe? Because the globe is not based on borders, it's based on people living here and the next generation. So I think that's my answer.
Super. And how do you feel this commitment in your daily lives, in your daily work, with the environment, with the sustainability, and with the future generations?
For me, I mean, this was really, really good, really interesting to me. One of the things that I see a lot in living in the United States is after a vessel is decommissioned and cleaned, they scuttle the vessel and sink it to make a natural, like a barrier reef and a scuba diving site. So this, to me, is really, really interesting because I'm just used to seeing what goes on in India. You know, the dirty way of doing things. So this to me is really good. I was actually going to ask you later on, do you see a lot of these vessels after you've implemented your system and you've cleaned it, and that vessel gets taken away and does get scuttled for the environment? Do you see that at all?
I think we have to be honest and say that we prefer to stay with the best in class. And the first mover is also the first to sell the ship. So they keep it for 10, 15 years, give it to the next one with a full inventory. And then they buy a new ship with an item. So they just take responsibility for their 15 years. So I think it's more about what is second-hand market doing. I think that's the question. And of course that is a bit more unpredictable. And in the end it's going to a third party, and what is going on then, we don't know. But we are very clear that we don't want to have any shortcut. And I know that this is an ongoing discussion in Brazil now. Who will be responsible for an asset? Will it be the owner from new building until it's actually completely recycled, or will it be something you sell and then you get rid of the problem, like you're selling your car and you don't have any issues? But this is a long-term marriage. So when we're going into a marriage, we want to know our partners. And we don't want cheaters. Nobody wants cheaters. So I think it's more about who are you playing together with. But I think a lot of the things we can learn from first mover is that they are doing well as long as they own it. And then it's the next generation or next owner's responsibility to maintain it. But that's our own business. Yeah.
And how do you feel this commitment on your daily work?
Well, it's of course it's a growing topic all around the world, and I think it's quite easy to see the businesses that do it really from their heart, and the businesses who do it because it looks good on their website or it looks great on LinkedIn. You have really two types of people, and you really need to find the ones who do it out of their heart and out of their passion to, like you said, for the future generations. And it's quite important to find those people, because they do it because they feel it's their job to do it, and it's their passion, and not because it brings them more money or fame or whatever. So I think that's important. And another topic as well is with governments. A lot of people, it's like a chicken and an egg story sometimes, that who has to move first, the government or the businesses themselves? Like with these green solutions, sometimes the government needs to bring the push for the companies to go over to the green solutions, and sometimes it's the other way around. And like with our solution, the government cannot just prohibit the use of copper, because then there is no vessel in the world anymore that can sail, and the whole world economy will collapse within a day, like we saw with the Suez Canal, when there was just one vessel blocking the canal. So I think it's also the government and the regulatory bodies waiting for the market, maybe pushing it a bit, to come with a solution, and once the solution is there, then they can push it, because then there's an option. So that's a call as well to everybody here, to not wait for the government to come, or regulatory bodies to move you that way, but to be ahead of the curve, like you said, be a first mover. And I think that's that can only bring you positive things.
So congratulations for developing such great technologies and for helping this world to be more sustainable. It's not easy to come with an innovation. So congratulations, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge from the United States, from the Netherlands, from Norway, so many different countries, and it's very nice to know that we're all very aligned. So thank you very much.
Thank you.